Wait a minute.
Hear this.
Birdy num num. Birdy num num. Birdy num num.
What's up, ladies and gents, and welcome back to another episode of the Birdy Num Num podcast. I'm having a good week, and I really hope you all are having a wonderful week. And right off the bat, I do apologize for the long delay. Sometimes you take a break, and that break just turns into this whole other thing. And I know I have been MIA from you guys to launch this new season. I thought I would take a break till the end of the year. But, it's COVID, or it was COVID, and all of us were kind of going through a bunch of stuff. Somehow 1 week turned into 2 weeks, and I started reading more, and I started, just taking time for myself more. And in a weird way, the podcast kind of, fell off the radar a little bit. Not that I don't care. I love doing this, and I love so many of you who comment and listen and subscribe and email me. It's just that once in a while, life is unpredictable and we don't know why we do the things that we do. But I want to get straight into it because we have a nice open dialogue, you and I. And on that note of sometimes just taking a break and sometimes not worrying about what people think or what they're going to say, it was a lot of pressure for me to kind of step away from this. And then when I thought about coming back after a few months, I was like, man, I haven't done it in so long. I need to, but then what are people going to say? What do I do for the first episode on my way back? And, it's just like, why'd you take a break? And how are you going to explain it? And to be honest, I don't really have a reason to explain it, or I don't really have a reason for explaining it is a better way to say it, because as the title of this particular podcast explains itself, when you don't care how you look like, you look amazing. And I'm not saying I'm amazing. I'm not saying you're amazing, although I'm pretty sure you're amazing, outside of your mom telling you. But sometimes it's just, I've been doing social media. I've been doing comedy. I've been doing videos, some that have done great, a lot that have done horrible. I've been doing this podcast since when we had 0 listeners to now when we have hundreds of thousands. And one thing I always notice is, especially with podcasting now, because with COVID, everybody has been stuck at home. People are doing these like Zoom calls and they're doing these Instagram videos and they're doing that like thing where they point at the different text and all that stuff. Is most people put up this hurdle of what people are going to think. I'm sure we all have that friend. Dude, when I started doing this podcast or getting on video, I would want to like gel my hair. I'd want to take a shower. And every time on social media, as I'm sure all of us know, we would try to manicure every photo. I think we all have that friend who's super annoying, who's always like, the second you take a photo, she's like, let me see it. And for no reason other than how he or she looks like, they want you to delete it, take it over again, and God knows what. And then we all have that other friend who never really cares. You take a photo, then they never even ask. He or she, it doesn't bother them if they have makeup on or if they have like a booger in their eyes or whatever it might be. And that person is like the freaking life of the party. Everybody loves them. They're the ones who are like going on dates. They're the ones where, we think life is so easy for them. And it's not that life is easy or easier or harder for a lot of people, but especially now, there's people who are doing stuff on social media. There's people who need to be in front of the limelight. I think all of us have seen, especially in the last 1 year with COVID, there's like Zoom call after Zoom call after Zoom call. And I feel so bad for a lot of people who are just now starting it, who are just now realizing they got to get on to Facebook and talk about their startup, or they got to talk about, whatever issues are in their industry because their boss is making them do it, or their spouse is making them do it, or their professional network is making them do it. And now with distribution a lot harder, with the Facebook news feed not really putting much on Instagram, knowing very quickly if you're scamming or spamming, or if you're trying to promote something, it's a lot harder. But in a good way, I'm really glad that people are forced to get in front of the camera more often, and I'm glad that people are forced to kind of put themselves out there, because it's a much bigger issue of a lot of things that we do as human beings, which is we make things bigger than they are. And we say, only when I'm, skinnier or in better shape am I going to ask that person out. Or we say, only when, I'm more confident, or I look better, or I feel better, am I going to try that hobby or that job. that I wanted to do. And one thing you'll notice now with social media and with videos and with content, and I'm sure you all see it all over your newsfeed, is authenticity and non-filtered, non-manicured, non-fake stuff usually is starting to do a lot better than highly produced, highly manicured, highly staged, highly scripted things. Like it's so funny because once in a while I write for commercials. Once in a while, people will call me to help with scripts and things like that. And I'm looking at a lot of videos here in California, like on TV, $1 million commercials are being made, and those commercials are showing a cell phone video. Like, do you realize how silly it's become? Like, they get a fancy producer, like $1 million camera. They spend a ton of money on Coca-Cola or, Apple or Snapchat or whatever. But ultimately, they wrap all of that stuff in some big fancy video. But then the actual content is showing somebody taking a selfie video from their cell phone. And it's a little blurry, it's a little grainy. Because right now, we've been bombarded with, magazine covers. We've been bombarded with, tons of content on Netflix and so on. But there's that saying, you'll never be as jealous as a random billionaire than you will be as jealous as your friend who's a millionaire. You know what I mean? Like, you'll be more upset if that person you went to school with is succeeding in making 2 crores or $5 million than you would the super spoiled nepotism rich kid you've never met who's making $100 million, because that's outside of your world. And on a similar note, you're way more interested in your personal network and your social network than complete strangers in a highly produced movie. And I'm not saying people don't watch movies. I watch movies, although, I've been on my own journey, which is part of the reason I took a break, which is just learning and trying to absorb and trade stocks and do a million other things in the meantime, because life has handed me a little break with comedy at the moment because of quarantine in California. But it's also opened my eyes to the fact that it's way there's this kind of like reverse superficiality that's coming. And sure, people still care about looks, people still care about, and you should, not you should care about looks, that's not what I'm saying, but you should care about, taking care of yourself and trying to be healthy and those sorts of things. But I'm really glad to see that we're kind of getting numb. If you see a million movie covers and they all look like the Avengers, no matter how much Photoshop, how much high production, how much After Effects and glossy makeup was put on that, eventually you get used to it. You know what I mean? And right now, it's just like, people are realizing that they can't put makeup on every day to get in front of the camera. People are realizing in my line of work that you can spend millions of dollars to make some content, but oftentimes something on a cell phone of somebody complaining about an issue or talking about something like dating or podcasting or whatever is just way more engaging and way more impactful, So I wish a lot of people, would take a cue out of Nike, would take a cue out of the fact that you're never, dude, if you really want to do something today, number one, you're never gonna like look the part. You need to do the part. So you need to stop putting up these barriers of I'm only gonna go out when I have those new clothes, or I'm only gonna put myself out there when I look a certain way or feel a certain way. But you need to stop doing that and start doing the simple act of doing. And I know it might sound like a little fluffy, like a little weird, but dude, so many people think about something way more than the actual doing of something. And there's a creative term called resistance. That's something, but like they try to buy the best camera. They try to freaking, learn all the tools. You can actually over-engineer something rather than getting the experience actually doing it. So I just want you guys to know, like, when you don't care how you look, you actually look amazing, because there's something very like kind of intangible with authenticity, with comfort. People like people who have flaws. People like hearing from somebody who's not trying to, like, if I came out here and I was like, hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy, Sanjay, Manaktala, blah, blah, blah. You might be like, that's not him, and that's not what we've got used to. And sure, some people do that. But a lot of times, if you're going to spend a lot of time with somebody, if you're going to try to, look at the stuff that we watch online now, right? it used to be you would be watching or reading J.K. Rowling's super fancy book, or some movie director's crazy movie that took them 5 years. But now the content of that director talking about the movie or giving 10 great quotes from Steven Spielberg or freaking maybe not Karan Johar, but you know what I mean? Like that stuff is way more interesting. And I don't know, I mean, if you're like me where, mid 30s, mid 20s, whatever it is, and you are looking for a lot of answers and you're looking for content that's not just guy wants girl, or you're looking for stuff that's not just the same time wasting things, but actually trying to improve yourself and better yourself, what better way to learn about people who do things than hearing it authentically from the people behind the scenes who are doing those things, right? And so I don't know if that made sense entirely, but I really, really want to drill this home to everybody. People always I don't know what it is where, like we've all been there where you see a photo and like your paunch is hanging out and it's like a very unflattering photo, and it like kills you because maybe one of your friends said something, or that one friend who always puts you down makes a comment like, oh, putting on weight or something or the other, right? But I say this very wholeheartedly, very politely. None of you, including myself, are as important as we think we are, okay? You may think the whole world is looking at how you look like you got out of bed. Dude, I literally will take a shower, gel my hair, go to work, or used to go to work, and people would say, did you just wake up? And I just realized I forever have, always tired look, and that's fine, and I'm okay with it. And it's liberating. It's so amazing that you're taught to always try to look a certain way, or always try to put your best self forward. But that person is not the real you, it's very hard to maintain. And the beauty and the irony of the fact that we're always on video or we're always talking is that, you're actually looking better when you don't care what you look like. And so think about the people you follow, think about the people you listen to. When you listen to a podcast, it's not scripted. There's no fancy jingles. Everything is not edited word by word. There's ums and ahs and those sorts of things. And so I personally think that's where the future is going. Like, it's so strange for me now when I watch like a news show, like on like high definition TV, and I see these anchors in like super crazy makeup and super fancy lighting. And I'm just like, I just rather get my news from some blogger or just read it online, even if there's typos, I don't care. So I know there's a balance here, and I know that some things do require being manicured and being very polished. Obviously, if I'm watching a big movie, I want to go into the fantasy world. But for most of us, who are trying to find ourselves in this new reality, who are realizing that we got to get on these Zoom calls and we got to get out and put ourselves out there. Hell, dude, even like dating apps, I feel I'm not been on one. I'm married, but I'm saying I would imagine it's way more cooler to be authentic and to say something interesting in your bio or in your, under your photo, or have a picture that looks a little grainy rather than something that looks like every other stock photo that you paid, $500 to make, or 500 rupees or whatever your photographer costs. So, that's all I wanted to say this week, you guys. I do apologize for the break. I will be more frequent with this, but once in a while, you got to take some time for yourself. I don't really have a concrete answer of what I did, but I do want you to know I don't care about you, which is why I care a lot about you. As in, I don't care what people say, because ultimately that's just going to get in my head and mess with me. I take feedback. I'm more than happy. I love it. I read comments. I get really happy by them. I also get upset by them sometimes. But the point is, when you personally don't care what you look like, you are going to look amazing. So I urge you all, thank you so much. I will be back more frequently, and I'll see you guys next week. Thanks.
Birdy num num. Birdy num num. A birdie num num.
That's